Welcome everyone to the battle between Praggnanandhaa and Alireza Firouzja, the two leaders of the Superbet Chess Classic. We have a little girl who has come to make the first move today. She brings out her knight to f3. Such a big moment for this youngster. She will remember this definitely for years to come. Making a move for Prag against Alireza. That's as great as it can get between two players there. Now, Prag and Alireza, two uncompromising players playing against each other. Firouzja fresh from his victory against Gukesh in the previous round. Prag opens the game with 1c4, the English opening. And Firouzja responds back with c5, the symmetrical English. And let's see what Prag does. Knight comes out to f3 with the idea of pushing the pawn to d4 or to play your knight out to c3. Alireza brings his knight out to c6. And now the knight comes to c3. And we have the four knights English on the board. You can go g3 here, you can go e3 here. He goes for d4. And this is what makes now the game interesting, because after takes, knight takes, which Prag will most likely play, it'll be interesting to see what setup black chooses, because black can go for g6, bishop g7, e6, getting the bishop out on this diagonal. He goes for e6. He opens up the bishop. The bishop could come to b4. Bishop could come to c5. Also, remember, queen b6 is a very big line here. Prag now plays g3. Very common, very well known, putting the bishop on this diagonal. And now queen b6 is by far the main move in this position. But Firouzja goes for a slightly lesser played line, bishop c5. Although very logical, because you bring a piece out, you hit the knight in the center. The knight goes back to b3, questioning the bishop. Now, there is pressure on the f2 point, but the bishop, if it goes back on this diagonal, I can push it away with c5. So bishop comes to b4, pinning the knight. And you may want to take here to spoil the structure of white. Bishop g2 played. Prag is like, I don't care, Alireza, if you take here, it gives me my bishop this beautiful long diagonal and the weakened dark squares. So you should do this carefully. d5 played by Firouzja right into the center of the board. And now after take, this pawn on d5 could become weak. But the thing is, Firouzja could take back with the knight here. Knight takes d5. This is quite a possible way to play. And then you castle and give up a pawn here on c3. Let's see what he recaptures with, though. He takes back with the pawn. And d5 pawn is now isolated, but it opens up the bishop's path. White just castles it out here. So that's a good move. Now knight d5 is hanging, so Firouzja takes the knight, pawn takes, and d5 is slightly weak. Now c3 is also weak, but white can also go bishop a3 to stop black from castling, so you have to castle here. Yes, that's what Alireza does here. Very important move. And if Prag manages to get c4 in a timely manner, queen c2, which is maybe his idea now, that could be something, because then his two bishops, one here, second here, are like rockets on the open board. They'll be super strong. h6 played here, stopping bishop g5 ideas. And can we go c4 now? Because, if he went bishop e6, I believe that was better, stopping c4, but maybe he was afraid of bishop g5. But now at 6, c4 played by Praggnanandhaa, and already it feels like white is the one pressing here. Alireza has to play this very carefully. He takes on c4, a logical move. Queen takes c4. And if you play bishop e6, I can just move my queen away to a4. Yes, queen comes to a4. Now threatening the knight on c6. The b7 pawn is a bit soft. Knight c5 hitting the bishop and the pawn. So a lot of problems here for black. Have to play it very carefully now. Pragg has got an amazing position out of the opening. Rook e8 played here. Bishop b2, putting the bishop on the long diagonal. It was also possible to play knight c5, which was a good move, but you had to calculate this move. Although here bishop b2 first and now knight d7, stopping knight c5. Queen f4 played here by Pragg. He's moving his queen from c4 to a4 to f4. Now looking at the d6 square. Bishop takes b3. Wow. Alireza gives up another bishop. And the problem is, he's not able to win this pawn just yet. Because after pawn takes, if you take rook e2, that's losing. After bishop takes g7, king g7, check. And you lose the rook. So that's not possible. He has to have something else in his mind. Queen g5 is what Firouzja wanted to do. If you trade here, I think black is happy with this endgame. It's slightly worse, but it's a playable endgame. But Pragg is like, I'm going to keep the queens on the board. Puts his queen on c4. And now Firouzja needs to be super careful in this position. He gets the knight to b6, attacking the queen here. The queen can drop back to c2. Yes, he puts his queen back on c2. And imagine a situation where you play e3, push the queen away, bring your rook here, pressure on a7, pressure here. Oh my god. Knight b4. He attacks the queen on c2. Maybe now queen c3. Attacking the knight and also the g7 pawn. Yes, what a move. Because if rook e2 now, I have h4, queen g6, h5, queen g5 and this amazing move rook a5 deflecting and white is winning. So can't still take this pawn. Knight d5 played here by Firouzja. And now queen f3 by Pragg would be great. But you can see Pragg is down to 20 minutes on the clock. And now after queen f3 down to 15. He has to make 18 more moves in 15 minutes, which is a bit stressful. Plays queen d2. A nice move with a double attack here on b2 and e2. Very important now, rook b1. But he goes bishop c1. This is a mistake. The thing is, rook b1, queen e2, rook d1, takes. And now, in this position, the main move that maybe Pragg missed is rook d4, attacking here and here with rook d1 and he is winning. But bishop c1, he takes now, queen takes, rook takes. And the thing is, white has lost a pawn. But I can understand why Pragg did this, because he wants to go rook a5, which is a nice move. Because if you attacked rook d1, there's knight c3 hitting the rook. Rook a5 puts pressure this way, but Firouzja jumps with knight c3. A nice move, bringing the knight into the game. And now b7 is under pressure. He takes it. But the thing is, it's simplifying very quickly everything. Rook b8. And if you play rook takes a7, then there's rook e7. So bishop goes back to f3. Rook a2 played. And rook c5. Attacking the knight and threatening rook c7. Black goes knight e2 check. and he's trading off one pair of minor pieces. Bishop takes e2, rook takes e2. You can see Prag's body language there. He already knows that the game is now equal. He brings his rook to d1. Six minutes for Pragg, 27 minutes for Alireza. It's actually, I would say, a big miss for Pragg, because he could have actually put a lot of pressure on Alireza if he had found this move, rook a b1. But bishop c1 that he played didn't work out so well. Rook takes rook, bishop takes, attacking the knight and the pawn on a7. The knight goes back to a6. And here, putting pressure on the bishop and the pawn, bishop a7. Rook takes b3. And now rook d8 check. King h7. And he plays the rook back to d6. The rook attacks the knight. Knight d8, knight b8. And here Pragg takes the final exchange here. Rook and 3 pawns for both the sides. The game is now drawn, but really a very nice fight. I must say that Firouzja's opening choice wasn't particularly the best. He did land up in some difficulties there. Pragg also tried his level best, and then this is ended in a draw. And now both the players still leading the tournament jointly, along with 2 more players, Fabiano Caruana and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. We have 3-fold repetition, and the arbiter signals a draw. So a 3-fold repetition, and well played by both the players. And immediately here Pragg is like, I could have done something else instead of bishop c1 perhaps. And nice to see both of them analyzing with each other after the game. This tournament is wide open with 2 rounds to go. Praggnanandhaa is slated to face Wesley So and Aronian, while Alireza Firouzja has Nodirbek Abdusattorov and Diach Bogdan Daniel left. Let's see who wins this tournament. It could end up in anyone's favor. We have had many draws in the last few rounds, but I believe the one who will take some risks in the last 2 rounds is the one who will emerge the winner of the Superbet Chess Classic. Pragg and Firouzja analyzed with each other for quite some time, and finally they called it a day. Great game by these 2 youngsters.